In the late 13th century, a mysterious manuscript began to circulate in the spiritual circles of Spain. It was called the Zohar, meaning radiance or splendor. From the very beginning, this book was different. It was written in a strange, poetic style. It blended biblical commentary with mystical visions, secret teachings, and hidden codes. No one had ever seen anything like it. Scholars whispered that it was not a new book, but a much older one, perhaps thousands of years old. Where had it come from? And why was it appearing now? The Zohar is considered the central text of Kabbalah, the mystical tradition within Judaism. But it did not simply appear in a library or temple. Its entrance into the world feels more like a revelation than a publication. The man who introduced it to the world was a Spanish Jewish mystic named Moses de Leon. He claimed that the Zohar was not his own work. According to him, the text had been written over 1,000 years earlier by a legendary sage named Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Here is where the mystery deepens. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai lived in the 2nd century during the time of the Roman Empire. He was a student of the great Rabbi Akiva and a fierce opponent of Roman rule. Because of his teachings and open criticism of the empire, he was forced into hiding. According to tradition, he and his son retreated into a cave where they lived for 13 years. It was said that a carob tree and a stream miraculously appeared near the cave to sustain them. But what happened inside that cave was far more unusual. During those 13 hidden years, Rabbi Shimon entered a state of divine connection. He studied, meditated, and received spiritual revelations. When he finally emerged, he was no longer just a teacher. He was a transmitter of heavenly knowledge. His students wrote down what he revealed, and those writings, it is said, became the Zohar. This origin story is not just history. It is a doorway to something far stranger. How did these teachings, supposedly buried for over 1,000 years, suddenly emerge in medieval Spain? Could a single man in a cave have created such a vast, complex system of spiritual wisdom? Or was he merely a vessel, receiving messages from a higher realm? Some Kabbalists believe the Zohar was not written in the way we understand writing. They say it was received like light shining through a narrow window into our world. Its words carry a vibration. Its stories are layered with symbols, and its teachings feel less like instructions and more like echoes from a higher dimension. Whether the Zohar was revealed in a cave, discovered in Spain, or transmitted from beyond, one thing is clear. This book is no ordinary text. It is a whisper from the shadows, calling us to remember something ancient, something hidden, and something radiant. And that's just the beginning. In the heart of the Zohar lies one of its most powerful teachings, the concept of the 10 sephirot. These are not just abstract ideas or symbols. According to Kabbalah, the sephirot are the channels through which the infinite, known as Ein Sof, expresses itself into creation. They are the hidden structure behind everything we see, feel, and experience. Ein Sof means without end. It is the pure, unknowable source of all existence. But because it is beyond form, beyond time, and beyond human understanding, it cannot be known directly. So how does the infinite interact with the finite world? The Zohar answers this with the concept of emanation. Instead of stepping into the world like a creator with tools, the infinite radiates its presence, gradually descending through 10 layers of divine light. These layers are the sephirot. Each sephirah is like a filter or vessel. It takes the pure energy of the infinite and gives it form. From the first emanation to the last, the light becomes more defined, more shaped, and more able to enter our reality. These 10 emanations form what is known in Kabbalistic tradition as the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is not just a diagram. It is a map of the soul, the universe, and the divine mind. It is also a blueprint of how spiritual energy flows from the divine world into our physical world. At the top of this tree is Keter, the crown. It represents the pure will of the infinite, the first point of contact between the divine and creation. It is silent, mysterious, and almost beyond awareness. From Keter flows Chokmah, wisdom, the raw, unformed spark of insight. Then comes Bina, understanding, which shapes that spark into structure and clarity. These first three are considered the intellectual sephirot. They form the upper realm, a divine mind that gives rise to the rest of the emanations. The next group is emotional or relational. Chesed, loving kindness, is the outpouring of divine generosity. It is followed by Gevura, strength or judgment, which brings boundaries and discipline. Then comes Tiferet, beauty, which harmonizes the previous two and creates balance. It represents compassion, the center point between expansion and restriction. Next are Netzach, eternity or victory, and Hod, splendor or glory. These two channels represent the endurance and communication of divine energy into the world. They give persistence, movement, and expression to the forces above. Yesod, the foundation, gathers all the energies of the previous sephirot and funnels them into the final one, Malkut, the kingdom. Malkut is the gateway into the physical world. It is where divine energy becomes real, tangible, and visible. It is the realm of manifestation, where spiritual light takes on form as people, events, matter, and time. But these 10 are not isolated. They are deeply connected. Each sephirah reflects all the others. The flow between them is dynamic, like electricity moving through a circuit. The balance among them is what keeps the universe in harmony. If one becomes too dominant or too weak, the entire structure becomes unstable. This is why Kabbalah speaks so much about spiritual balance. It is not just a personal goal, it is a cosmic necessity. The Zohar teaches that everything in creation echoes this structure. From the anatomy of the human body to the soul, from the cycles of time to the workings of nature, all follow the divine pattern of the sephirot. They are not just spiritual ideas, they are the very architecture of being. Understanding the sephirot is like looking behind the curtain of reality. It reveals the sacred engineering behind life. It shows that everything, even the smallest detail, carries within it a spark of divine order. In the next part, we will explore how the Zohar encodes these teachings in a hidden language, a language of fire, light, and mystery, and why its words can only be fully understood by those who know how to listen beyond the surface. The Zohar is unlike any ordinary book. It does not speak in plain terms, and it rarely explains itself directly. Instead, it wraps its meaning in layers of metaphor, poetic language, and mystical symbols. Reading the Zohar is like entering a dream where everything points to something deeper, something hidden just beyond reach. At first glance, the Zohar might appear to be a commentary on the Torah, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. But it is not a literal explanation. It is a spiritual map disguised as a story, a code written in the language of the soul. Each verse, each word, and even each letter is believed to contain multiple levels of meaning. What looks like a simple phrase may in fact be a doorway to profound spiritual truths. The sages of Kabbalah teach that the Zohar cannot be fully understood by reading it like a normal text. To unlock its secrets, the reader must enter a different state of awareness. One must read not just with the eyes, but with the inner senses. It is said that true understanding of the Zohar requires Ruach HaKodesh, a kind of divine inspiration or higher consciousness. Without this inner light, the words remain closed, their deeper messages hidden behind the veil. This is why the Zohar often repeats itself, shifts between stories and symbols, or seems to speak in riddles. It is not trying to confuse the reader, but to awaken something deeper within them. It draws the mind beyond logic, forcing the reader to think in symbols and feel in layers. The goal is not only to understand, but to transform, to rise into a state where one becomes capable of receiving divine wisdom directly. One of the most mysterious ideas in Kabbalah is that of the sacred fire, hidden in the letters of the Zohar. Ancient tradition teaches that when the universe was created, it was spoken into existence by divine language. The Hebrew letters were not just symbols. They were vessels of spiritual energy, alive with creative power. Each letter held a unique vibration, a distinct spark of the infinite. The Zohar continues this belief. It treats every word as a container of light. The language it uses is more than writing. It is a transmission. Behind each sentence burns the sacred fire of divine wisdom. This fire does not destroy, it illuminates, but only those with purified perception can feel its warmth and see its glow. In many passages, the Zohar refers to light, inner light, hidden light, the light of wisdom, the light of the soul. Light is one of its favorite symbols, but it is not physical light. It is spiritual insight, clarity, and divine presence. The reader who can penetrate the veil of words begins to experience this light directly, as if the pages themselves are glowing with understanding. The idea of coded language is also central to the Zohar. Often, it refers to the Torah as a garment, a body that clothes a soul. The stories of the Bible, according to the Zohar, are the outer garments. The inner soul is the divine truth hidden within them. This same idea applies to the Zohar itself. Its stories are like robes. They cover the radiant truth that must be uncovered slowly, carefully, with devotion and spiritual focus. Those who have studied the Zohar deeply often say that its words begin to speak to them. Not in a literal voice, but as an inner resonance. The reader starts to feel guided by the text. Questions arise, and answers seem to appear in unexpected lines. The Zohar becomes a living book, responding to the consciousness of the one who reads it. To the untrained eye, it may seem like a confusing puzzle, but to the seeker, it is a mirror of the soul and a ladder to the heavens. It does not give answers easily. Instead, it teaches the soul how to seek, how to ask, and how to grow. The Zohar is a book of secrets. But those secrets are not hidden to keep them away from us. They are hidden so that we may rise to find them. They are fire behind the veil, waiting to be discovered. In the next part, we will explore how the Zohar describes the multiple dimensions of reality, hidden worlds that exist side by side with our own, and the soul's journey through them. According to the Zohar and the teachings of Kabbalah, the world we see with our eyes is only a small part of reality. Behind the visible world lies a vast spiritual structure. It is made up of layers, or worlds, each one closer to the divine source. These layers are not physical places. They are dimensions of consciousness, vibration, and divine energy. Kabbalists describe four main worlds. They are called Atzilut, Beria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. Together, they form the ladder of reality. The soul moves through these worlds, either during spiritual awakening in dreams or after death. The first world, Asiya, is the world of action. This is the physical world we live in. It includes everything we can see, touch, and measure. But even here, the divine light exists, though it is very hidden and filtered. In Asiya, spiritual truth is often covered by material concerns. But this world is also where we are given the chance to make choices, to grow, and to awaken. Above Asiya is Yetzirah, the world of formation. This is the realm of angels, emotions, and spiritual movement. It is less dense than our world, but still connected to it. In Yetzirah, energies take shape before becoming physical. It is like the spiritual blueprint for what later appears in our lives. The soul begins to sense more light here, and the divine becomes more personal and near. Next is Beria, the world of creation. This is the level of pure thought and divine insight. It is the realm of the higher soul, where the mind can grasp deep spiritual truths. Beria is a place of clarity, free from the confusion of physical life. Here, souls that are awakened begin to remember their true origin and purpose. It is a realm of peace, stillness, and vast understanding. The highest world is Atzilut, the world of emanation. This is not a world in the way we usually think of it. Atzilut is pure divine light. It is the closest a soul can come to the infinite without losing its identity. In Atzilut, there is no separation. All is united with the divine source. Only the most purified souls can experience this level, and even then, only for moments. It is not a place of words or thoughts, but pure being and oneness. The Zohar teaches that these four worlds are not far away in space. They exist within us and around us all the time. We live in Asiya, but we are also connected to the higher worlds through our soul. Each time we act with love, wisdom, or truth, we bring light from the higher worlds into this one. Each prayer, each moment of inner silence, each selfless deed, they all help the soul rise through these layers. Some passages in the Zohar suggest that these worlds are like nested realities. Just as we move from thought to speech to action, so too does the divine light move through these four levels to reach our world. And just as light passes through colored glass and changes its form, divine energy passes through the worlds and becomes what we know as reality. There are also hidden realms within these worlds, parallel realities where spiritual beings dwell. Angels, guides, and other forces of divine intelligence exist in these layers. They are not fantasy, they are part of the inner structure of existence. The Zohar says that sometimes, through dreams or visions, the soul is given a glimpse of these realms. But even when we are not aware of them, they are always there, influencing our lives from behind the veil. These hidden worlds are not just mystical ideas. They are the stages of the soul's journey. From Asiya to Atzilut, the soul moves closer to its divine origin. The Zohar is not only a map of the cosmos, it is also a guide for the inner traveler, the seeker who wants to rise, awaken, and return to the source of light. The Zohar teaches something profound and revolutionary. Human beings are not passive observers in the grand design of the universe. We are participants. Our actions, thoughts, and intentions have a direct influence on the flow of divine energy through the cosmos. According to the Zohar, the universe is not fully complete on its own. It awaits the conscious participation of the human soul to activate, direct, and complete the divine plan. This idea is rooted in the ancient Kabbalistic principle of divine partnership. The Creator did not design the world as a finished product. Instead, the world is a dynamic process, constantly evolving, constantly being shaped. Every time a person performs a good deed, speaks a word of kindness, or uplifts their thoughts through meditation or prayer, they are not only improving themselves, they are shifting the balance of spiritual energy in the universe itself. The Zohar explains that our physical world is like the lowest branch of a great spiritual tree. Every action taken on this branch sends vibrations upward through the trunk and into the higher worlds. When a person chooses light over darkness, when they act with compassion instead of selfishness, those vibrations rise through the sephirot and help restore harmony to the divine structure. This process is called Tikkun, a Hebrew word meaning repair, correction, or restoration. Tikkun olam, or repairing the world, is one of the central teachings of the Zohar. It means more than social justice or doing good for others, although those are part of it. On a deeper level, it refers to the mystical task of restoring balance between the spiritual and physical worlds. Long ago, according to Kabbalistic tradition, the vessels that held divine light shattered during the early stages of creation. These broken fragments fell into the world of matter, scattering sparks of holy energy throughout all things. Human beings are tasked with finding and lifting these sparks through mindful living, spiritual practice, and conscious action. This is why intention is so important in Kabbalah. A physical act without spiritual intention is incomplete. But when a person eats, works, or speaks with awareness of the divine, they raise the spark within that moment. Even the most ordinary action can become sacred when it is aligned with the divine flow. The Zohar calls this kavanah, focused spiritual intention. It transforms a simple moment into an act of cosmic healing. The power of meditation is also central to this idea. The Zohar describes how a person in deep meditation can ascend through the worlds, bringing light into places where darkness has settled. A soul that rises in purity through thought and prayer helps open the channels between heaven and earth. It draws the light of the higher worlds down into this one, healing not only the meditator but the structure of reality itself. But this task is not only for the mystic or the sage. The Zohar makes clear that every human being, no matter their background, holds within them a spark of divine light. Every soul is unique, and every person has a specific role to play in the great unfolding of the divine plan. No act of kindness is too small. No moment of awareness is wasted. Every effort to bring more light into the world adds to the collective repair. This is the true meaning of co-creation. We are not separate from the divine. We are the instruments through which the divine expresses itself. The Zohar sees humanity as the bridge between heaven and earth, a channel through which divine energy can enter the material world and transform it. The Zohar does not just look back to the mysteries of creation, it also looks forward. It speaks of a time to come, a moment known in ancient texts as the end of days. But this does not mean destruction. In the Zohar, it refers to a time of awakening, a time when the hidden light that was concealed at the beginning of the world will shine again. This light, according to the Zohar, is not ordinary light. It is the original, infinite light of creation. The same light that illuminated everything before it was hidden away. It is said that this light was too powerful for the world in its early state, so it was concealed, reserved for a future generation, a generation that would be ready. The Zohar describes that in the final era, this light will return, but not as a flash in the sky or a physical miracle. It will come as understanding, as wisdom, as a sudden inner recognition of truth. The secrets that were once hidden behind symbols and codes will become clear to those whose hearts are open. Some scholars and mystics believe that this time is now. In the past, the Zohar was only studied by a few elite masters, hidden in caves or passed down in secret. But today, people all over the world, from every background and culture, are feeling drawn to it. They are searching for something deeper, something beyond the noise and chaos of modern life. The rise of interest in ancient spiritual texts, the search for meaning beyond religion, the hunger for connection with the universe, all of this points to a shift, a quiet but powerful turning toward the inner world. Could this be the fulfillment of the Zohar's prophecy? The book itself says that when the hidden wisdom begins to spread across the world, it will be a sign that humanity is entering a new phase of consciousness, a stage where the divine is not found in temples or rituals alone, but in the heart, the mind, and the soul of each awakened individual. This is not about one belief system or one tradition. It is about the spark of light that lives in every person and the call to awaken it. The Zohar is not only a book of knowledge, it is a mirror. When we look into it, we see not just the divine mysteries, but the hidden potential within ourselves. Perhaps you have felt this call. Perhaps something deep within you is searching for truth, for clarity, for connection. The Zohar teaches that this search is no accident. It is the soul responding to the ancient light, the same light that shaped the stars, the same light that waits to be remembered. The light is calling. Will you listen? Thank you for watching this journey into the mystical world of the Zohar. This is Sacred Knowledge. If you found this content meaningful, subscribe to the channel and join us as we continue to explore the ancient wisdom that still speaks to the soul today.